Welcome to Living Free in Truth, a Christian podcast about biblical truth in today's culture. Today, we are not just talking about a movie or a musical. We're talking about a culture-wide seduction into witchcraft, rebellion, and spiritual confusion, and how it's showing up in the name of entertainment. This episode will do a deep dive on Wicked, but we'll highlight the biblical perspective around this topic, and hopefully this will equip you to view entertainment and media through a biblical lens and be aware of the influence around us. I watched the movie Wicked in the fall when it came out. I was invited by friends. I didn't know too much about it, except it was based on Wizard of Oz. I had heard it was very popular and well-loved when it first came out in Broadway. I was in high school at this time. I knew people were reading the book and it was kind of a big deal, but I never really watched it. So, years later when it comes out in theaters, I was like, why not? I'll go watch a movie. And I really enjoyed it. I thought the storytelling, the acting, the production, the costume design, the songs, it was so enjoyable. I posted it on my social media as part of a recap of my time. We watched Wizard of Oz at my friend's house, and I just kind of didn't really think about the word wicked and didn't think about the witchcraft that was apparent. I just simply had viewed it as entertainment. It wasn't until I watched a YouTube video called The Wicked Truth by Angela Scafidi that I was alerted. Feel free to watch that episode. She shares based on her experience as an ex-witch and what she's seeing in the patterns with Ariana Grande and tattoos and blood covenants and all that stuff on why it's bad. I share some of those same reasons, but I also bring in some other points to consider as well. So let's shine light into this dark area. First of all, let's just think about the name wicked. Like, what does that mean, right? Oxford Dictionary calls it evil or morally wrong, intended to or capable of harming someone. So not fun, not misunderstood, right? Wickedness is moral corruption. And yet culture is calling it good, even for good, as the movie title says. Isaiah 5:20 says, "Woe to those who call evil good and good evil." I decided to look in Blue Letter Bible. It's a phenomenal resource whenever I want to look up the root meaning of a word that's in the Bible. And when I looked up wicked, it says bad, disagreeable, unpleasant, evil, giving pain, unhappiness, misery, bad, sad, unhappy, hurtful. And a side note, I was doing a Bible study with a small group of mine, and we were looking at Psalm 139:24, which we know it as, hey, see if there's any wicked way in me and lead me in the way everlasting. But there were a few translations that translated it as hurtful. And what's interesting to know is evil, wickedness, it produces pain. And I think that's something that we can look forward to in Revelation when there will be no more tears, right? Because the product of sin is pain, is just... Anyways, when I made that connection a while back, it was this like, oh my gosh, and goodness, like kind of eye-opening glimpse. Like God so loves us that he doesn't want us to endure pain from wickedness, from evil. There's more definitions in Blue Letter Bible about bad, evil, wickedly, ethically, in general of people's thoughts, deeds, and actions. So that being said, simply a name that's called Wickedforgood should already be like this massive flag, like, hey, don't do this, don't watch this, like this is saying wicked is good. But unfortunately, it's been so normalized, like even, hey, that's wicked as a good thing. Even, I was desensitized and I didn't really think too hard on it. So I want to give you some reasons why to not watch Wicked. And then I'm going to get into the biblical perspective of entertainment, a little bit about how spells and witchcraft work. So here are some reasons why we should not watch Wicked, and not watch the first one and not watch the second one. First of all, it glorifies witchcraft. The main character is a witch, and her power is shown as noble and misunderstood. It's twisting morality. Evil is rebranded as good. The wicked witch becomes a heroine. It undermines truth. One of the most famous songs, Defying Gravity, teaches rebellion as empowerment. And later down in this episode, I'm going to kind of unpack some key lyrics in the songs just so you can kind of see, like, beyond the catchy tunes and the production, kind of what's the underlying message that's being transmitted. Another reason to not watch Wicked is it's spiritually manipulative. Emotional music and visuals cover up deeply anti-biblical themes. Another reason is that it invites sympathy for darkness. We're led to root for a character who practiced sorcery. Ephesians 5 says, have nothing to do with fruitless deeds of darkness, but rather expose them. Also, the original book, Wicked, on which the musical was based on, and the movie is based on the musical, includes themes of bestiality. There's heavy sexual content. There's political manipulation. There's warped morality. There's themes of adultery in the main characters, and it doesn't promote biblical values. The film got sanitized a little bit when it got marketed to the masses, but the celebrities who are being starred are deep in occult symbolism. For example, let's look at Ariana Grande. Many know her as a pop icon, but she has publicly admitted that she's into tarot cards, spirituality, and the occult. When interviewed, she's wearing a dress all in red. When asked if she was a witch, she says she's the witchiest witch. She talks about bringing tarot cards on set. Other people have talked about her bringing tarot cards on set. She has posted witchcraft spells on her Instagram. She has a lot of tarot symbolism and ritualistic choreography in her concerts and her music. Her album, God is a Woman, blends sexuality and blasphemy. She has over 73 tattoos, many with hidden meanings, some reportedly tied to spiritual magical references. And you can view the tattoo episode I did for some more context on that. Even on like Reddit, for example, it's like, okay, I'm looking on the witchcraft section in Reddit, and people are talking about using songs like Seven Rings by Ariana Grande is very good for manifesting wealth. Or POV by Ariana Grande. There are a lot of songs you can use in spell work. Another person was asking, hey, I know Lady Gaga might have possibly put a protective spell for her new song, Abracadabra. And there's a small affirmation or spell in the song Yes and by Ariana Grande. If true, can you please recommend more songs? I want to listen to more songs with spells. And this is in the witch, beginner witch Reddit thread. In her own interviews, she talks about her experiences with the supernatural, with the occult. And another person says, yeah, Ari had gotten a deck of queer tarot cards and was basically doing a 3-card pull. She was giving us tarot readings. She was very in her element. And I was like, you should do this for a living. This is one of her cast members. So Ariana is not hiding it. Her Wicked co-star is openly part of the LGBTQ movement. So again, what is being imbued? What is being transmitted? Like somebody who's openly a witch, who's casting spells, who other witches acknowledge as her songs having spells. There's tarot cards. Like if you look on Etsy, there's tarot cards with Ariana Grande on it. Like that's not good fruit, right? And Ephesians says have nothing to do with darkness. Another debacle with Wicked is the issue they had with their toys and the misprint, how little children were being led to this hardcore porn site because of a typo. Okay, mistake or not, some people are like, they definitely, meant it. And some people are like, oh, it was a mistake. Again, if a hardcore porn site is called Wicked, then again, the name of that name and what are we aligning ourselves to? And what are we voting with our attention and our money? So let me just take a step back and just kind of look at entertainment as a whole. Like, what does the Bible say about entertainment? The Bible doesn't use the word entertainment, but it says a lot about what we let into our hearts and minds. Psalm 101:3 says, I will set no wicked thing before my eyes. I love that choice of words for this episode. Proverbs 4:23, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Whatever is true, whatever is noble, think on those things. Philippians 4:8, right? Whatever is pure, of good virtue, of beauty. We are made to meditate. And we can meditate on the things of God, or we can meditate on the things of flesh, of the world, of the enemy. Again, wide and broad is a road that leads to destruction, and narrow is a road that leads to life. So again, we live in a very counterculture world. It's not 50-50. It's more like 90-10, right? Because we're warring against our flesh, our sinful nature, against the world, right? It says we're in the world, but not of the world. Do not be friends with the world, because being friends with the world is being enmity with God. And then we know the devil is a prowling lion, ready to devour, killing, stealing, destroying, deceiving, right? So we're told to fix our minds on truth, not fantasy that celebrates rebellion, sorcery, and moral confusion. Again, witchcraft has been normalized in pulp culture. What used to be hidden in shadows is now trending on TikTok, scripted into kids' shows, and branded as empowerment. But the scripture is not changing. Deuteronomy 18, let no one be found among you who practices divination or sorcery, interprets omens, engages in witchcraft, casts spells. It's not to be tolerated with. It's not to be flirted with. It's forbidden. Witchcraft isn't fictional. It's spiritual. And the enemy would love nothing more than for people to laugh it off, sing along to it, and call it fun. I mean, the enemy's only got a few plays in his book. So one of them is like, oh, he doesn't exist, right? Like, it's imaginary, live in reality. Like, it's just like a bunch of primitive views, right? Like, you're so dumb, right? So that's one viewpoint. Another viewpoint's like, it's no big deal. It's harmless. It's fun. Like, don't be like so full of fear and looking for a devil behind every bush type thing. So that's a very like dismissive way. But hey, the enemy gets in that way, right? Then another one is like, oh, it's good. It's beneficial. Like, it helps me, you know, like it relieves my anxiety and my problems and gives me purpose and all these things. So yeah, those are just a few common ways that the enemy will deceive. And a few justifications people will give is, but the music's good, right? That's actually one of the most common pushbacks I've seen with even the movie Wicked. Music is beautiful, costumes are amazing, production's so well done. It's just fantasy, right? But let me ask you, since when did artistic excellence justify spiritual compromise? Satan was the most beautiful angel. He was musical, creative, brilliant. Ezekiel 28 says your settings and mountings were made of gold. The workmanship of your timbrels and pipes was prepared for you on the day you were created. I touched briefly on that with the sound healing episode. But Satan fell because of pride, and he still uses beauty to deceive us today, right? He masquerades as an angel of light, like we see in Corinthians. Entertainment is not neutral. Matthew 6, Sermon on the Mount says, the eye is the lamp of the body. If your eyes are healthy, your whole body will be full of light. So what we watch, what we listen to, what we admire, it shapes our hearts, whether we admit it or not. And an interesting way to look at our gates, you know, what we're letting in, is we hear that, you know, we need to watch what we focus on with our eyes, with our thoughts, right? With our actions, with our heart, we're to guard our heart, our mind. So those are things that we want to be watchful for. What we watch, what we listen to, what we admire, it shapes our hearts, whether we admit it or not, whether we recognize it or not. Romans 12:2 says, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Well, we can't be transformed by Christ if we're constantly conformed by culture. So what's the real agenda? It's not just a movie. It's not just entertainment. It's a spiritual story that flips truth on its head. The villain is rebranded as misunderstood. Like, we have this empathy for Elphaba, like, oh man, she's misunderstood, she's rejected, she's actually the one standing for truth, and the good one is actually just a product of the system and compromising, and wickedness is seen as noble, the self is glorified, sin is celebrated, and the LGBTQ agendas, the personal life with their relationships, the spiritual confusion, the witchcraft, the occult, the astrology. You've got more than a Broadway show. You've got a pulpit of deception dressed in glitter and songs. People often say, well, it's just a story. I don't believe in witchcraft. I'm just enjoying the songs. God knows my heart. But here's the problem. Your heart is exactly what's being shaped. Harry Potter, when I was a kid, right? Like, oh no, don't watch, don't read. It's normalizing witchcraft. Well, it got normalized, right? There's a theme park on it. There are Halloween costumes, which is a whole other topic, Halloween. But there's costumes, there's a lot that's popularized and normalized. And because of that, paved the road for more overt witchcraft in our culture. Harry Potter, Wicked, and similar stories don't just use magic as a literary device. They repackage witchcraft as good, heroic, or enlightening. You can see that in Doctor Strange and the Marvel movies. It's when something that's bad is repackaged as good, that is deception. Even outside the Bible, here's what happens. Repetition rewires your brain. You become numb to things you once knew were wrong. Fantasy blurs reality, especially for kids and teens, and this is marketed for the PG, family-friendly audience around the holidays with the toys. It makes the spiritual realm feel like fiction or harmless fun, and it softens the culture. Media like Wicked rebrands rebellion as righteousness and makes darkness feel inspiring or even beautiful. So I'm not saying everyone watching this movie is a witch. I watched the movie and I liked it, but I'm not going to watch it again, and I'm not going to watch the second one, right? But I'm saying what we entertain, we begin to tolerate. Like, I was just looking at what I had posted on social media, and I had posted a picture of the witch over a crystal globe looking at Dorothy, and it's like, wow, like, it's so overtly demonic and witchcraft, but I have seen it under the lens of entertainment, of a movie, of pop culture, and I didn't really give it a second thought and posted it like it was such a positive experience. So what we tolerate, we begin to celebrate. Again, like, I don't really post that often on social media, so I'm surprised that I posted that, but it's so enjoyable. And so it's good to be aware. And what we celebrate, we eventually imitate. So if we call ourselves followers of Jesus, we need to feed on content that glorifies the things that he wants us to feed on, right? Friends, Jesus doesn't call us to avoid evil. He calls us to expose it. And this is not about legalism, right? Are we loyal to the one who gave his life for us? Or are we blending in with the world that hates him? Are we the salt of the earth and the light of the earth? Or have we lost our saltiness? James says friendship with the world means enmity with God. There's no place in the Bible where there's a tolerance for mixture. We see in Revelations, like, don't be lukewarm, be hot or cold, but don't be lukewarm. In Corinthians, it says, have nothing to do with darkness. What does light have to do with darkness? The temple of God with Baal, like, what part do we have, right? Come out, set yourself apart. We see this in the Old Testament with the Israelites. Do not follow their ways. Do not worship God in their ways. Do not follow the pagan cultures. Like, be set apart, be different. We are made more for just catchy songs and spiritual confusion, right? Jesus didn't cast spells, he cast out demons. He didn't enchant, he delivers. He doesn't entertain, he transforms. So now, pulling out even more outside of entertainment and the movies, I just kind of want to highlight how spells, intentions, and witchcraft actually work. So in New Age and occult circles, intention is everything. They believe your thoughts can shape reality, words can manifest results, and you can speak things into existence. Doesn't that sound like setting an intention? I mean, you set an intention when you're doing yoga and you're meditating that, and you're setting an intention when you're casting a spell. You're setting a desired outcome, and then you're hoping that something would empower that, whether it be through a ritual, a crystal, a meditation, a song, a potion. It's really about like, hey, I want this and I want to make it happen through these means, right? So it's taking matters into our own hands. It's not allowing that surrender and submission to God. So it's a counterfeit of biblical truth. Again, true spiritual power belongs to God alone. And when someone uses spells, symbols, crystals, chants, songs, movies, or different things, they're trying to access spiritual power apart from God. And that's rebellion. That's witchcraft. 1 Samuel 15:23 says, "Rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft." We know that is something that people are not repenting of, even in the last days in Revelation. We try to take matters in our own hands, but that's not how God leads. He wants us to lean fully on him. I'm leaning on my beloved. I'm surrendering to him. I'm dying to myself. I ask him, and I have faith I will receive, but I'm crucifying the flesh. I'm picking up the cross. I'm laying down my life. So Satan doesn't need us in a black coat and a pointy hat. He just needs us to believe that we're the source of power. Now let's come into some of these themes with songs. Defying Gravity, signature song of the musical. It's kind of like this girl power anthem, right? Lyrics, I'm through accepting limits. It's time to defy gravity. So it's promoting a rejection of moral authority, self as the highest truth, breaking free from external standards, which includes God's boundaries, right? Sign of the time, lawlessness will abound. In the book of Judges, everyone did what they thought was right. Framing rebellion as freedom and being true to yourself. So the biblical response is Proverbs 14:12. There's a way that seems right to a man, but in the end it leads to death. James 4:7. Submit yourselves then to God. Resist the devil and he will flee from you. Another song, no good deed goes unpunished, right? I'm through with playing by the rules of someone else's game. So this is a twisted view of morality. The idea that doing good is pointless, that morality is subjective and everyone is misunderstood, giving up on righteousness, a slide into bitterness and self-justified vengeance. Okay, Galatians 6:9 says, let us not grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest. Satan would love to convince believers that doing good doesn't matter and they're better off going rogue. That's what this song preaches. Power through resentment, not repentance. Another song, For Good, right? This emotional duet between Elphaba and Galinda about how they've changed each other for good. Well, it's promoting human connection as the highest source of transformation. There's no acknowledgement of right or wrong, only emotional impact. And good is defined by feelings, not by God, right? So the biblical contrast, Philippians 2:13, it is God who works in you to will and to act according to his good purpose. This song isn't evil on the surface. It's emotional and powerful, but the worldview says people are the ones who change us, not God. It leans heavily on sentimentality instead of spiritual truth. Another song, Dancing Through Life. Nihilism with jazz hands, right? Life is meaningless, so just enjoy. Don't think too hard. Do what feels good. That's hedonism, right? Just lovers of self, lovers of pleasure, worries doing nothing. Let's live for the moment. Let's avoid reflection, conviction, or meaning. Let's glamorize aimlessness. Ephesians 5:15 says, be very careful then how you live, not as unwise, but as wise, making the most of every opportunity. So wicked songs and the messages are beautiful lies wrapped in beautiful music. They're emotionally manipulative that make sin look noble. They're theologically bankrupt. They preach rebellion, relativism, and self-exaltation. And they're culturally strategic. They're influencing millions of young minds through Broadway, Hollywood, culture. Satan doesn't need us to join a coven. He just needs us to sing along with rebellion until it feels good. In conclusion, don't be numb to what's normalized. The devil isn't trying to get you to just overtly chant spells. He's trying to get you to sing along with them. He wants you to excuse darkness because it's wrapped in glitter and great vocals. But remember, 1 Corinthians 10, you cannot drink the cup of the Lord and the cup of demons too. So what do you think? Let me know your thoughts. This is something that's taking me some time to clarify, because when I first kind of heard about this, I was like, oh yeah, that's a good point. But like, I mean, it's a movie, right? But then I watched the episode and I researched and looked into the tattoos and watched some of their interviews where they're holding hands and they're very emotional, and how there's just been this crazy weight loss with both of these co-stars. And again, I wasn't a witch in a previous life, but by the way, I don't believe in a previous life. I don't even know why I said that. But people who have been witches have said that when someone is into witchcraft, there is like a dramatic, sometimes weight loss that's accompanied to where it's unhealthy. And I think, well, that totally checks out. Like Satan wants to destroy, right? And devour. And I see a lot of these celebrities, both in Christian media and outside, where once they hit that platform, and maybe it's the seduction of wealth and power and influence and all the other cultural things there, but it's like Satan eats them alive, chews them out, uses them for his means, and then like spits them out and discards them. Like, it's just so sad. And I can't speak specifically on what was the cause of that, but I think it's not good fruit, if that makes sense. And just kind of looking at the personal life with the divorce on both of the co-star sides, and then their dating relationship, how that happened. Well, that's not good fruit. Divorce is not good fruit. And also looking at the tattoos more closely when I was doing a tattoo episode, it did take me some time to kind of ponder and think through these connections. But as you know, I'm like walking through Barnes and Noble and I'm like looking at this imagery. I'm like, oh, like this is a reference to, I think, Michelangelo. But they're trying to like make this a cultural significant thing. What if this is the bigger moment like Harry Potter was back when I was young for the younger generation, and how it was just so widely celebrated? It just really made me look into it more deeply. And so I will link a few of those videos about the dark story of the original book and some of those interviews and different things for you to see and just think about for yourself. So let me know. I know when I shared with a friend, they were not really, they were like, I've got other things to worry about. Like, great that you're doing this, but like, I've got other things that are on my mind. And then when I shared with another friend, she was like, oh yeah, I knew she was a witch. Like, I didn't even watch that. So I was like, oh man, I didn't know. And I watched it, right? So I don't know where you are on the spectrum, but I am curious to hear how this has made you think, if you agree, disagree, or what your thoughts are. So again, thank you for listening. Share this episode if you found it helpful. Live free in truth. Follow, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.